Chaos. The Marks Tay to Sudbury line will reopen tomorrow morning after Tuesday's train crash.
A crane was used overnight to remove the wreckage of the articulated tanker and the train which crashed into it on an unmanned level crossing at Little Cornard in Suffolk.
The 38-year-old lorry driver remains in police custody as survivors of the crash tell of their escape. Malcolm Robertson reports.
They worked through the night to clear the wreckage from Tuesday night's rail crash, a painstaking task that went on till dawn. A massive crane was brought in to remove the sewage tanker and the twin-carriage diesel train, which had collided when the lorry tried to cross the Sudbury to Marks Tay line at Little Cornard. Among the 21 people injured in the crash, 19-year-old Louise Rayner, who suffered severe bruising to her body and legs. She boarded the train at Sudbury and was on her way to see a friend.
I just thought we were all going to die, and when it tilted, I was, oh God, it's going to roll, and it was just so scary, really, really scary.
The most seriously injured was 58-year-old Alan Dickinson, a partner in a firm of solicitors in Sudbury. He's in a critical but stable condition at the Royal London Hospital.
It's put us all in a state of shock, I think, because many of us use this railway line. It's a vital link between us and Colchester and London, and it suddenly makes you think that this kind of thing could happen to any one of us.
The Lithuanian truck driver is still being questioned by police on suspicion of endangering safety on the railways. The carriages and the tanker were removed early this morning. Now comes the task of checking the track, checking for any repairs, the fairly unpleasant task of disinfecting what was an area where a lot of sewage was spilt, and all being well, this line should reopen tomorrow morning. For the people living round here, what happened on Tuesday has caused huge disruption, but it seems the end is in sight.
I think we've probably caused chaos by closing the road, and farmers have had issues with trying to get combines into fields, and they've made alternative arrangements. It's very important to get their crops in, but everybody's been really helpful.
The first train will run from Sudbury at 5:30 in the morning. The full cost of this recent chaos could eventually run into millions of pounds. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Little Cornard.
Well, it's 14 minutes past 6. It's great to have you with us this Thursday.
Now coming up, all the news from a little bit closer to home, plus...
Corner shops could be a thing of the past within the next 5 years. That's one of the main conclusions of a new report which urges councils to give protected status to local independent stores.
Shopkeepers in one part of Norwich are expecting a major retailer to move in soon and are worried about the impact it might have on their future. Andrea Johnson has this report.
Pradeep Dipala has some very loyal customers. He sees Pamela Maloney every other day.
They're always friendly and nice and kind. Don't feel an old lady anymore.
Pamela's lucky. Her family help with most of her shopping, but the staff at Coleman News play an important part in helping her remain independent.
We can deliver to their houses, and we try and help much as we can. And sometimes we go to their house and ask for their help as well.
But a new report raises concerns that in as little as 5 years' time, shops like this will no longer exist. So-called local format supermarkets are increasing in numbers, and while many people welcome the variety and convenience, one of the report's authors has longer-term concerns.
The supermarket, when it first opens, will make absolutely sure it stocks absolutely everything that are in the other shops. As time goes by and shops close, the supermarket will reflect less and less of that. They will sell less and less of what local people want.
But some people would argue that some of the shops down here are already closed. Will it not invigorate the area?
It absolutely will not invigorate the area. In fact, it reduces any sense of community. Local shops are fantastic for meeting your neighbours, having chats, finding out what's going on. Supermarkets just don't offer that.
It's not the first time there's been opposition to a local format supermarket in this part of Norwich. Despite plans for this store on Unthank Road being rejected 5 times, it's now open for business. And supermarkets say that shops like this can attract extra customers into an area. It's not been confirmed which chain will open a store here, but one thing is certain. Local support for this parade of shops is strong, and supermarket staff will have a lot of first names to learn to compete. Andrea Johnston, Anglia News, Norwich.
Travellers who set up camp on Southwold Common on the Suffolk coast have now moved 8 miles north to the tiny village of Brampton. 10 families arrived at Southwold on Sunday, and the trust, which owns the land, began legal action to get them evicted. But now the travellers have moved on to the village green at Brampton near Hellsworth.
A same-sex couple from Malden in Essex, who became Britain's first gay surrogate parents, have appeared in court charged with fiddling data for their medical research company. Barry and Tony Druitt Barlow hit the headlines in 1999 when they became the first British same-sex couple to be named on their children's birth certificates. They now have 5 surrogate children. They're due to be back in court next month. Now, 2 of our best-loved birds are in dramatic decline because of a parasite which has moved between species.
It used to affect doves and pigeons, but now it's emerged in greenfinches and chaffinches. And according to experts at the Thetford-based British Trust for Ornithology, its impact is unprecedented. Laura Burns reports.
It's people like Jackie Pryor who know all too well the battle for survival being fought by our garden birds. As well as being an assistant here at the British Trust for Ornithology, she's also one of 15,000 birdwatch volunteers who've helped to gather vital information.
When I'm at home, normally I watch when I'm available at the window. So I watch most of the time that I'm able to. And for recording purposes, you have to record the highest number seen at any one time during the course of the week.
She's noticed greenfinches and chaffinches have largely declined, a trend picked up by many other volunteers, as well as in 700 gardens nationally, providing concerning evidence for leading experts like Mike Toms, who helped write today's report.
So it's a thing called Trichomonas gallinae. What it basically does is it gets into these birds, and in the case of greenfinches, they get lesions in the throat, so they can't swallow. These become infected, inflamed. The bird is unable to swallow any food, and you'll see them sort of sat around bird tables looking sort of fluffed up, lethargic, possibly a little bit wet around the face.
In fact, greenfinch populations dropped by 1/3 within just a year, while chaffinch populations fell by up to 20%. The disease is spread by saliva and water. So what can be done to help? Well, if you've got feeders like these in your garden, make sure you clean them regularly. That's to avoid any contamination. Also try to move them around your garden as much as you can. And when it comes to bird tables, don't forget to clear away any unwanted food and droppings. Research into the impact of the disease is ongoing, so we're all encouraged to get involved and report any changes in our garden birds, because simply taking a few minutes to watch them could help save their lives. Laura Burns, Anglia News, Thetford.
Now, new figures show people in Great Yarmouth and Waveney are 3 times more likely to see an NHS dentist than those in a posh area of London. Some 77% of people in Great Yarmouth and Waveney went to an NHS dentist in the past 2 years. Now, that's compared with just 24% in Kensington and Chelsea. The differences may, of course, be down to those in that part of London paying privately for their dental work.